What's going on, folks? So, the Fallout show came out, and yeah, pretty big hit. I think this is probably the biggest streaming service show hit that we've gotten in a while. It's fantastic. I watched all 8 episodes. I got a number of things to say about it, but they're all positive. So this is going to be a shorter one of my videos because, as we all know, if I don't have negative things to say, I tend to kind of just give my praise and then move on. So yeah, I saw the trailer for the Fallout show, and the trailer was good. It showed you the vibe, it showed you the look, and that was it. But it left everything kind of what's the word? It was subtle. The trailer was subtle. Like it gave nothing away other than what it should have. And I remember being a little underwhelmed by the trailer, but I would almost rather be underwhelmed by the trailer than overhyped, and then when I watch the show I'm disappointed. So uh I knew from the trailer though that it was going to be a good show. I knew it was going to gain a following. I knew that it was probably going to be well received enough to get a second season, but I think we're straight up onto a phenomenon here. I think we're in the early stages of that happening. Like Fallout has always been a thing because of the video games. So amongst the video game community, Fallout has always been one of the more treasured video game franchises. I remember I was 22, 23 years old in college working my part-time job, and I'm just sitting there with one of my coworkers, and he's talking about how Fallout 4 comes out at midnight on Friday or whatever day it was, and he's like, I'm going to games. This is back when waiting in line at GameStop at midnight was a thing. He's like, I'm going, or Walmart, wherever the hell he was, like, I'm gonna go wait. I'm gonna buy it at midnight. It probably was Walmart, to be honest, because back then Walmarts were open 24/7. He's like, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna buy it at midnight, and I've already requested off work, and I'm gonna be playing that. I'm gonna binge play that for 24 hours straight. And I was just like, man, all right. So Fallout's always been a thing. It's always had a passionate following. I have played Fallout 3. I've played a little bit of Fallout New Vegas. I never got very far in New Vegas, but I did like it. I played a decent amount of Fallout 4, and I've started to dabble in Fallout 76. Fallout 76 only recently, in the last few years, became a real game. Fallout 76 had a terrible launch, and it struggled for years to finish. It was an incomplete game, right? So, but the franchise as a whole has always held a special place in a lot of the video gaming community's hearts. But as we all know, that doesn't quite always transfer to television or movies. There's been a lot of video game adaptations in terms of video games being adapted into film and now TV, and not a lot of them have been great. Um, as with anything else, when you're adapting something, whether you're adapting a comic into a movie or TV show, a video game into a movie or TV show, a novel into a movie or a TV show, the key is the source material. Was it story narrative based, right? Especially this is important when it comes to games, because trying to make a movie about a game that really doesn't have a story to it is going to be hard, because that's all movies are. They're just visual stories. So, yeah, anything that is very narrative story driven is going to make a better TV show or movie. And Fallout definitely has that, but they don't exactly they take inspiration from the games, but they're not adapting the storyline from any of the games, because it's an RPG, and theoretically everyone's playthrough of every game could be different. You could play Fallout 4 18 different times in 18 different ways, and none of them are going to be identical. So, and that's the thing. It's an RPG. It's about freedom of choice. It's a post-apocalypse Skyrim is essentially what Fallout is. It's made by Bethesda. So, with this, not only did they decide to do a completely original story, they decided to have it just go ahead and be the furthest thing out there in the Fallout timeline. So chronologically, if you wanted to get the full story of Fallout, you would play Fallout 1, then Fallout 2, then Fallout 3, then Fallout New Vegas, then Fallout 4. Well, I'm sorry, you'd start with Fallout 76, and then you'd do everything I just said. And then, after playing all those games, you would watch the show. The show is the latest thing in the timeline of Fallout. I think this was a good choice because if they'd have tried to set it somewhere in between the games, then they would have had to have okay, well, it can't contradict anything that's already been set down on either side of it, on the timeline. But by putting it at the very end, it's the newest thing. All they have to do is we just can't contradict anything that was in the games. But we can set new precedent for what's going forward, and they do. This is, before I go any further, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. So if you have not watched Fallout, go ahead, and you don't want it spoiled, turn this off, come back to it. If you really want to know what I think, come back to it after I spoiled it. So that's your warning. I'm going to start talking spoilers. So the New California Republic, which is a big part of Fallout New Vegas, and it's been in the Fallout lore for quite a while now, that is in shambles. It's been pretty much completely annihilated by Vault-Tec. We also learn that it has been set down in Fallout canon and lore that China and the United States are the ones that destroyed the world with nuclear weapons. For the most part, it's pretty much all China and the United States. And China, it was stated China was the one that launched the first nuke. But in this show, they delve into and reveal just how evil Vault-Tec as a company really is. And they make the point, it's like, here you have this company that's trying to make a profit by selling these people slots, positions, just call them slots, in these vaults, should there be a nuclear exchange between nations. But if there's not going to be a nuclear exchange, and the peace talks work out, and treaties are signed, and everything kind of cools off, well, then there's no reason for the vaults, and you're out of business. So it goes into the whole Vault-Tec. Then it shows a meeting between all the Vault-Tec and all of their, I guess they're like their competitors / investors / whatever. And they basically say well, let's drop the bombs ourselves. Now, what I took that to mean is not that Vault-Tec itself has nukes, but that Vault-Tec is engaging in espionage and manipulation, and they're going to kind of pull the strings from behind the scenes in order to manipulate China into launching that first nuke, and then the United States retaliates and so on and so forth. That's how I interpret it. I didn't interpret it as Vault-Tec themselves actually has nuclear missiles in silos that they're going to launch. I didn't interpret it that way. I interpret it as they're going to pull the strings and manipulate the situation to where it ends up going that way, which makes sense. Vault-Tec's evil as shit. Everyone's evil as shit, except for the Minutemen and the East Coast Brotherhood. The East Coast Brotherhood of Steel is pretty damn good, in all honesty. Now, this show does take place on the West Coast, so the Brotherhood of Steel that we see in this show is shitty. They're very almost pseudo-religious and just very dickish and asshole to each other. And they've lost sight of the Brotherhood of Steel's mission. They were originally we are going to take a whole bunch of technology, all the pre-war technology we can find, and we are going to hoard it, but it's for two purposes. We're hoarding it, A, to keep it out of irresponsible hands, keep it out of the wrong people's hands, and B, to use it to rebuild society and help people. They the West Coast has kind of lost sight of that original goal, especially mainly the help people part of it, and they are instead just we just want to hoard power for ourselves so we can be the dominant faction. For those of you who played Fallout 4, you know that in the East Coast Brotherhood, depending on, like I said, how you played it, because it can have alternate endings, the leader of the East Coast Brotherhood, Arthur Maxson, he is the last direct descendant of, I think his name was Roger Maxson, which is the guy that started the Brotherhood of Steel. And he was sent east by, I think, his mom, because she could kind of start to read the writing on the wall and was like, our family is losing control of the Brotherhood, and Arthur Maxon, he's a kid at the time. She's like, he's in danger here. People here who want to usurp control of their Brotherhood are going to see him as a threat, and they're going to try and kill him. So his mom sent him to East Coast with this really noble Brotherhood paladin guy named Owen. I think it's Owen Lyons. So depending on what ending you played in Fallout 4, Arthur Maxon is still alive on the East Coast. And I am hoping that's one of the directions they go with the Fallout story, particularly in this show for like season 2 or 3, is we see East Coast Brotherhood come in. And it's kind of like that, it's like Simba returns to Pride Rock. Like, I know Arthur Maxon himself has his flaws, but the East Coast Brotherhood is vastly better from a moral and ethical perspective than the West Coast Brotherhood. But what we got, though, I'm a big Brotherhood of Steel fan. I was happy with how they did, speaking on the Brotherhood of Steel, I was happy with how they did the power armor. I was happy with how they did a lot of the costumes and the special effects and the makeup. It all looked fantastic. The cast was great. It was funny at moments, and there were times where you were kind of like, I don't know. There were moments where I was like, this humor is funny, but it doesn't seem Fallout funny. Particularly the sexual stuff. Like, there's a lot of like sexual humor in here. I don't mean like just like toilet humor, like some South Park stuff. I mean like sexual. Like, they're talking about fucking their cousins and shit, and it's just like, I don't remember Fallout being this sexual. You know what I mean? I don't remember there being like romance options in Fallout. Maybe there is. I never explored any or found any, but in any of the Fallout games. But maybe there are some characters in there you can romance. I don't know. But the 4 main characters we're following in this story of this is Lucy McLean. She's the main character vault dweller who leaves the vault to go across the wasteland and try to find her father, because story's set up that, you know, they're living in Vault 33, everything's hunky-dory, raiders attack, kidnap her father, and now she's going to try and find and save her father. So we're following Lucy McLean. Her younger brother stays in the vault, and we follow him. I'm forgetting his name at this point. We kind of follow him in his journey as he remains in the vault, Vault 33, and he's kind of uncovering a conspiracy down there. We're following the ghoul, who is like an old Western cowboy gunslinger ghoul, and he's actually like well over 200 years old. He's from before the Great War. He was a former Marine who became a movie actor, and like now he's on his own personal quest of like vengeance or whatever. He's a really cool, interesting character played by God. I'm not gonna be able to remember. I'm not gonna be able to remember names. It's Boyd Crowder from Justified, and he kills the role. Like, he's absolutely, the ghoul is one of the best characters in the show. It follows the ghoul from 2 perspectives. You get flashbacks of him from before the bombs drop, and then you also get him as the ghoul doing stuff in the current timeline, the present day of Fallout, the wasteland and stuff. And then you have this Brotherhood of Steel character who starts out as a novice, initiate, scribe, whatever they're called. He becomes a squire to a knight. That knight dies. He takes his power armor and he tries to complete the knight's quest. And by the end of season 1, he is a knight himself. That dude's pretty cool. I liked his arc. I like at the beginning he's a little bit of like a bumbling idiot that is very unsure of himself, doesn't really know what to do. But by episode I want to say 3, he kind of just like puts on his big boy pants and he's like I got shit to do. I got to take care of shit. So by the end of the season, he's not like a stone cold killer, but by the end of season 1, it's like he's been around the wasteland a little bit and he's seen some shit, and he's not a fool. So I like his character arc and how he gets cooler and more badass as episode by episode. Lucy's pretty cool and entertaining. I like her character. She is I think she was a little naive for a little too long. Like, growing up in the vault, she's lived a very civilized and sheltered lifestyle, and she just kind of resists the very brutal nature of the wasteland for what I felt was a little too long. Like, I feel like after episode 2, when she goes, there's a scene where she has to she's charged with transporting this guy across the wasteland, but he's gonna die. He's bleeding out, and he takes a cyanide pill, and he's gonna die. And he's got this like chip or something in the base of his skull. And he's like, you have to get me to this person. You're not going to be able to carry my whole body. So here, take this. And he hands her like a miniature Warhammer 40K chain sword, but it's more like a surgical tool. And he's like, just cut my head off and take my head. And at first she's all like, I can't do that. I can't be decapitating people. She's not even wielding a firearm. The first 2 episodes, she's carrying around a dart gun that shoots like darts that have like a drug in them that'll knock people out, and like tranquilizer darts. And there's even a part where like she needs a gun. She's about to go outside and confront somebody who's shooting people. She needs a gun. She's looking around this like pawn shop store, and she sees real legit guns like AK-47s and AR-15 rifles, and she ignores those and just keeps her fucking little tranq gun. So she's a little naive for the first 2 episodes, but by the end of episode 2, she says fuck it, and she picks up the chainsaw shit and she chainsaws this guy's head off so she can take his head. I thought that was going to be her transition moment where she's like, I got to just embrace the brutal nature of the wasteland. But no, she's still rather naive and she's just innocent for a little too long. I thought she was going to kind of get with it there. But there's a reason for it. Everything plays out smoothly, and you're never unhappy with the show. And that sounds like a low bar. You are downright happy with the show quite a lot. But I think the best way I could put it is the show tends to sometimes go in ways that I didn't expect, but I was never unhappy with the outcome. Normally I'm like that kid on Christmas morning where it's like I told my family what I wanted for Christmas. So when I go downstairs and on Christmas morning and there's a bunch of presents under the tree and they're all wrapped up, I don't know what's in them, but I know what I asked for, and deep down I want what's in the presents, in the boxes, to be what I asked for. So that's kind of how I do my entertainment. But this is one of those rare occasions where it's like it went in a direction I didn't expect, but I still liked it. So that's a good sign. Visually, it looks like Fallout. They respected the canon and the lore and everything that was set down in the games before it. But like I said, this is the far end of the Fallout timeline. So whatever they do here or say here in this show is now the New California Republic is basically gone. So for everybody who liked that faction from like Fallout New Vegas and stuff, if this show is like Fallout canon, which I'm pretty sure it is, especially with how successful it's proven to be, the New California Republic is gone. It was obliterated. The main central hub of the New California Republic, Shady Sands, they nuked the shit out of it. Like another nuked the shit out of it. It got a little confusing there too in the show because Lucy, being educated in the vaults, is told that like the bombs of the nuclear bombs went off over 200 years ago. But the Brotherhood of Steel character, she meets up with him and he tells her like, I was alive when the bombs went off. They went off when I was a kid. And for a minute I was like, oh, has the show been like fooling us this entire time? And it's actually not 200 years later. No, it is. They just another nuclear bomb was set off on Shady Sands and destroyed the New California, pretty much destroyed the New California Republic. It's in complete shambles. There is a plot twist at the end. I'm not going to say that you see it coming, but you're not surprised. As a guy who's played the games and knows Fallout lore and backstory, you're not surprised by it. So I don't know. It didn't upset me, or I wasn't unhappy with the twist. It's just kind of like, oh, okay. I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, of course that fits because of everything I already know about Fallout. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, costume, makeup, special effects, acting, sound effects, creature design, everything was great. Everything was great. The story's great. The characters are great. Everything is great. This is I'm gonna give it the 9.5 out of 10. Like, it's a rare score. It's a 9.5 out of 10. I will never give anything a 10 out of 10, but this is a 9.5 out of 10 for me. The Fallout Season 1, 9.5 out of 10. This is an A+ in my opinion. They knocked it out of the park. They did pretty much everything right. And I'm really, really excited for season 2 because the very last thing you see in Fallout in this show, the very last scene, is one of the characters. I'm trying to like give spoilers without giving spoilers. One of the characters, you just see him walking away across the wasteland towards New Vegas. So yeah, season 2, we're going to New Vegas. And then we should get to see like Caesar's Legion, if that's still around, and all that shit. So really excited, really happy, really impressed. It is definitely worth watching. I've even got my dad, my dad is very old school, and he like, if it's not like an old black and white like western or a gangster movie, my dad's really not that into. Like my dad just likes real normal down to earth stories about real normal down to earth type shit. And if my dad's ever going to watch anything like sci-fi or fantasy related, he's either going to watch the old George Reeves Superman episodes from that old TV show, or he's going to watch like the really old Godzilla movies, like the original King Kong versus Godzilla. Like my dad is not impressed with new shit, but even he is like, he keeps telling me, he's watched 3 episodes of Fallout so far. He's like, it's weird. There's times where I'm like, why is this so weird? What is this nonsense? But at the same time, he's like, but I do keep wanting to watch more. I do keep wanting to see what happens in the next episode. So I'm like, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. But for me, 9.5 out of 10, A+, knocked it out of the park. Highly recommend it. That's my take. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments down below. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. That helps out my channel tremendously. And if you want to help out my channel even further, check out some of my other videos. Maybe even subscribe. But other than that, I'll talk to you guys later.